Black Harbor slept the way dead things sleep, heavy, unsupervised, and without the memory of dreams. Mason sat alone in the town's last remaining radio repair shop, surrounded by dormant carcasses of cracked plastic shells and dusty speaker cones. Thunder crawled over the ocean. The storm had stalled above the water like it was listening. The power flickered, and every unplugged radio on his shelves breathed a brief, weak glow. Mason blinked at the sudden constellation of red standby lights, like eyes opening and closing in unison, then squeezed the bridge of his nose. Too many overnight shifts had left his thoughts fuzzy, his nerves tuned to static. The scanner on his workbench hissed. He twisted the dial, sliding between dead air and evangelical sermons riding distant AM waves. Then, at 3:11 a.m., a number flashed across the display, 0.0.0.0. The sound that came with it wasn't a voice or music. It was breathing, wet, shallow, like someone lying on their back at the bottom of a well. He adjusted the gain, jaw tightening. The breathing grew louder, not through the speaker, but in the room itself, as if the air between wires had learned to exhale. Mason glanced at the door's glass pane. Outside, the empty street reflected back his own shape, distorted, shoulders hunched in a cage of flickering fluorescence. The stormlight painted the reflection with momentary veins of white. A sudden gasp sliced through the breathing, followed by the scrape of something hard against concrete. Then came a voice, wordless, animal, hoarse with terror. Mason froze. The scream wasn't theatrical. It wasn't broadcast clean. It had the raw, sloppy texture of an accident happening in real time. He could hear spittle, the tiny flutter of tongue and teeth. The scanner's numeric display remained frozen on 0.0.0.0, yet the signal strength bar maxed out, every segment a solid block. The room dimmed at the edges. Somewhere inside the sound, beneath the screams, he thought he heard breaking waves, closer than the ocean actually was. The next night he swore he wouldn't touch the dial again, but insomnia arrived like tidewater, seeping under his resolve. Black Harbor felt subtly off-kilter. Streetlights stayed green for impossible stretches, then snapped red behind him. Seagulls circled without calling, their wings slicing the sky in total silence. Even the town's derelict cannery, usually mute, rumbled with a low, arrhythmic throb, as if its metal ribs remembered work. At 3:11 a.m., the scanner reawakened on its own, needle jerking straight to maximum. No breathing this time, only the faint rattle of tools, then a woman's voice begging, "Please don't open it! Please, it isn't for you!" Her words hit him like déjà vu. Mason recognized the exact tremor in her pitch, the hesitation between syllables, as though he'd heard it 1,000 times in dreams he couldn't recall. Minutes later, sirens screamed somewhere uphill. The next morning, rumor moved through Black Harbor. A woman crushed in her basement when old shelving collapsed, pinning her beneath a rusted steamer trunk she had almost left sealed. By the end of the week, the town had learned the pattern, even if no one spoke it aloud. Storm or no storm, at 3:11 a.m., Black Harbor shuddered, lights dimmed, and whatever radio still lived in that place, car stereos, forgotten clock radios, antique sets gutted for parts, caught the same hidden station. People who stayed awake heard strangers die. People who slept woke with the weight of someone else's last breath pressing on their chest. Mason traced coaxial cables along mold-slick basements, up leaning telephone poles to the cliff where the first lighthouse had collapsed decades earlier. Beneath it, the land had slumped away into a jagged scar of black rock and twisted rebar, the ruin of foundations that once anchored the beacon. His scanner howled down there, needle buried full right, as if the earth itself were broadcasting. The following dawn, the obituaries column held a single new name.